Today we're going to talk about different types of pressure you may be faced with from other people to do activities that you may or may not want to do. There is what we call direct pressure, there's indirect pressure, and so you need to know how to resist pressure from others, and there are 12 types of refusal skills. So who tries to influence you as far as your behavior and decisions? Well, obviously, as you become a teenager, you will find that, of course, your friends are going to influence your behavior. And this is what we call peer pressure. And peer pressure has kind of a bad connotation to it. We always think of peer pressure as that pressure to do things like take drugs and smoke tobacco and drink alcohol and, just do generally bad things that are against the law. But peer pressure can actually also be good. You may have a friend that's encouraging you to try a new activity or participate in some kind of volunteer work. So not all peer pressure is bad. And so, we need to celebrate the good things that teenagers help each other do. Family also is very important in the types of pressure that they influence, and hopefully families exert positive influence on their children, but certainly there are times when the things that you will find that the things that your parents want you to do are not what you want to do. And hopefully this is something that you'll be able to work through. It may be a minor thing of, they want you to go do something with the family and you want to go do something with your friends, or it may be something major where they want you to do one career and you don't think that's the correct career choice for you and you want to do something else. And that's a really big conflict. And so, they will exert pressure on you to do what they want you to do. And so learning how to navigate this and working to change that relationship between, that you have with your parents from one of child, parent to one of, ultimately you're going to be an adult. They're still going to be your parent, but you will have a different relationship. And so kind of these teenage years, and as you get, in your late teens and early 20s is when you're going to be transitioning that relationship. And so that's, kind of difficult at times. Other people who will try to influence you are teachers, coaches, ministers, clergy people, and other significant adults in your life. Sometimes they, not necessarily are going to exert negative influence on you, but they sometimes, pressure you to participate in activities that you don't have time for or that you're not really interested in. And so that sometimes is a pressure that you need to be aware of. And then, of course, the media, whether it's television, radio, the internet, social media, we more and more are being bombarded with all kinds of information and pressures from the media. So recognizing that those pressures help you then decide whether or not you're going to go along with what you're being pressured to do. So there are positive and negative pressures. Like I said, we tend to focus on the negative when we talk about peer pressure, but there are positive role models among your friends, and there, of course, among adults, and also famous people can be positive role models. So, try to choose your role models with people who you want to emulate, who you think that they've made good decisions and they have a life that you would feel good about if you were able to live the same lifestyle. And by that I'm not meaning, they've got all the money in the world and they can afford fancy cars and fancy vacations, but are they someone that you respect, how they treat others and the life that they live? And other positive things can be motivating you to try something new, motivating you to work hard, to do positive things in your life. So there are both positive and negative influences. Now, negative influences, just the simple one is trying to encourage you to do something that you don't want to do. Certainly some of the negative influences and pressures that you'll feel as a teenager will be possibly to, drink or take drugs or smoke or things like that, or do, participate in other illegal activities. And so you need to have some idea how you feel about those things and how you're going to resist that pressure. And the most important thing is to make the decision that's right for you, that you go along with the values and the priorities that you have in life, and that you also recognize how much time you have, what other commitments you have. Sometimes it's simply, I'd like to do that, but I've already got this going on and this going on, and I just don't have time right now. So, it's learning to say no even to the positive opportunities that you're presented with. Now, there are two types of pressure. There's direct pressure, and direct pressure is usually by people that you know. So they directly pressure you. They ask you to do something. They push you to do something. They may do this by teasing you. So it's not negative, but they kind of tease you to try to get you to go along with them and do what they want you to do. Or it may cross the line and become more of a put down. So this is more of a negative, if you don't do this, you're a baby or something like that, calling you names, being more negative, trying to get you to do something. As far as just generally talking to you, there's persuasion, which is where someone tries to talk you into doing something. And there's explanations. They explain, they educate you. Certainly adults, like to use this. If I educate you about something, then you'll make the decision that I want you to make because you'll understand that that's a better decision to make. So those are two ways. And then we get into some really negative things where maybe somebody threatens you. If you don't do this, I'm going to beat you up, just a flat out physical threat. Or if you don't do this, I'm going to tell somebody, something about you or whatever along those lines. And that's kind of if you don't do something, you get negative reinforcement. But there's also, if you'll do this, you'll get positive reinforcement. So that's bribery. They pay you to do something. They give you, and, certainly maybe there's a little bit of, your friend asks you to do something, and if you do that, I'll go buy you a hamburger down, at McDonald's or whatever. Okay, that's all right. There's nothing bad about that. But for someone to ask you to do something that's illegal and paying you to do it, then you're getting into, definitely more dangerous territory. So be aware of these types of direct pressures. Indirect pressure is when you are swayed by someone that you look up to. So they may not actually be trying to get you specifically to do something, but you look up to them. It may be someone you personally know, or it may be a celebrity. And so they, by their actions and the things that they choose to do, then that influences your decisions. So again, like this may be someone who's a role model at school, or someone who's popular at school, or seems to have all the girls, or whatever type of things. They have something that you like, and so you want to be like them. And then there's of course the celebrities, like I said, that people try to emulate, and celebrities take advantage of this. They know that they have are influence people, and so they will participate in advertisements where they get paid to recommend certain products and certain activities. Sometimes they truly do use those products. Sometimes they don't. They're just getting paid to to recommend them to you. And then also there's, the shows that we watch on television, things that we watch in the movie, songs that we listen to, or other shows that we may listen to on the radio, things we see on the internet, comments that are made, people tweet something, hey, there's a party going on somewhere, so that may influence you. So these indirect things, again, it's being aware of them. That one of the things that we see a lot now that we didn't used to see in television shows is what we call product placement. So you're watching a show, and it used to be that you wouldn't see the name of a cereal, or you wouldn't see the name of a soda or something like that. And now, there's a Coca-Cola can, and there's Wheaties sitting on the and so even though they don't actually mention these products as they go through the storyline, they're there. And Coca-Cola has paid this television show to use their product in it, so that you see that on this television show, this character that you like is drinking Coke, so you want to drink Coke. So it's a very indirect. You're not necessarily aware of it, so you need to, by recognizing that that's what they're doing, then you can say, gosh, am I, getting Coke because I really want to get Coke? Is this good for me? Or am I doing this because subtly I was influenced to? So being, like I said, recognizing this type of indirect pressure is important. So how do you resist pressure? Like I said, being aware of the pressures, making sure that you know what your values are, so that you're not pressured to do something that's against the law, that goes against your values, your morals, that goes against rules, school rules your parents have, things like that. So also, are you being pressured to do something where someone might get hurt? You want to take that into consideration. And unfortunately, one of the things that happens as you go through your teenage years is sometimes you just realize that you grow apart from some of your older friends. Maybe they choose to go on a path and make decisions that you don't agree with, and that's not the life you want to live. And so sometimes you have to recognize, wow, my friends are pushing me to do things I don't want to do, and maybe it's just really time I find some friends who enjoy the same things I do, that have the same values I do. And that's hard to do, to change, when you've been friends with someone for many years, to change friends and move to a new group. But in the long run, that's a mature choice to make. And so that's definitely one way to resist pressure, because then you won't be in that group that's pressuring you to do things you don't want to do. So what are some refusal skills? Here are 12, and these are strategies to avoid doing things that you don't want to do. One is blame someone else. The obvious person when you're still living at home is your parent. My parent says I can't do this, I'll get in trouble if I do this. And sometimes I'll never forget when I was in junior high, my mom, just flat out said, it's okay with me if you want to go do this with your friend, but if you don't want to, if you'd rather do something else, or you really just don't want to do that, you can tell your friend that I said you couldn't go. You can use me as the reason to not do something. So, that's okay. That's the one time it's okay to blame someone else, is if you need to use someone who's got power over you to take responsibility, to get out of doing something you don't want to do. Secondly, give a reason. This is, why I don't want to do that. I have something else to do. I think that's wrong. I don't want to get in trouble. Give them a reason for why you're not going to do it. Third, just ignore it. Sometimes if you just ignore that pressure, it'll kind of go away. The opportunity will end, and you can just kind of move on, and it will be gone. Leave the situation. If you're with a group and they start talking about doing something that you think is wrong or you don't want to participate in, leave. And, you can tell them goodbye, or sometimes just, if you can walk away, drive away, just leave if you think that it would be better just to not be there, and you don't want to, have the interaction of actually telling them, no, I'm not going to do this. I need to go home. So getting out of that situation is good. Tell them no thanks. The next one is say no and mean it. And the one after that is keep saying no. So the bottom line is stick to your guns. If you don't want to do something, they may keep trying to convince you. So you have to keep saying, when they keep trying, you just keep saying no. Sometimes if you make a joke out of it, to kind of ease the tension and kind of, let them know, the why that wouldn't be, kind of make fun of yourself that I'm not very good at that, so I don't think I should do that. Maybe that'll, be a way to get out of it. Make an excuse. Suggest something else to do. If they're not absolutely convinced this is what they want to do, come up with another suggestion that you think they might be interested in doing and try to convince them to do that instead. When you're just, talking with someone and they're trying to convince you, change the subject, start talking about something else that they'll be interested in, so that hopefully they forget about this other idea. And then the last one is team up with someone. So if there's a group of you who and someone's come up with an idea to do something that you don't want to do, find someone else in that group who you can tell, who you know, or you can kind of tell by their body language that they don't want to do it. And as a team, maybe you can influence everyone not to do that, and the whole group can do something else. Or, maybe if several of them in the group decide to go do that, you at least have someone else maybe that you can do something else with. But, having kind of a buddy to help refuse can be a helpful thing. So today we've discussed the different types of pressure that you may encounter and some ways to resist it. Thank you.